Hello Hollywood Echoes family. Today we tell you about the lost star of one of the most beloved shows in television history, Gilligan's Island. The story of a woman who warmed the screens with her red hair, but was overshadowed by her role. Tina Louise. Are you ready? Then here we go. Tina Louise. The untold story of Gilligan's Island's last star, a lifetime of typecasting, regrets, and Hollywood's harsh realities. At 91 years old, Tina Louise stands as the last living link to one of television's most beloved sitcoms, Gilligan's Island. While fans remember her fondly as the glamorous Ginger Grant, few know the complex story behind the actress who brought this iconic character to life. This is a tale of dreams deferred, of artistic ambitions sacrificed at the altar of fame, and of one woman's lifelong struggle to be seen as more than just a sex symbol in a coconut bra. Chapter 1. Before the island, a serious actress with big dreams. Tina Louise's journey began far from the sandy shores of that fictional island. Born Tina Blacker in New York City in 1934, she displayed artistic talents from an early age. Her path to acting wasn't accidental, but rather a carefully cultivated passion. After studying at Miami University and the prestigious Actors Studio, Louise immersed herself in the New York theater scene during its golden age. Her Broadway debut came in 1954 in The Threepenny Opera, where she worked alongside legendary director Stanley Kubrick. This was followed by notable performances in Lil Abner, 1956, where she originated the role of Appassionata von Climax, showcasing both her comedic timing and vocal talents. Theatre critics of the era praised her magnetic stage presence and unexpected depth in dramatic roles. When Hollywood came calling, Louise seemed poised for serious dramatic work. Her film debut in God's Little Acre, 1958, earned critical acclaim, with the New York Times praising her raw, emotional performance. She followed this with roles in films like The Trap, 1959, and The Hangman, 1959, establishing herself as more than just another pretty face in an era dominated by blonde bombshells. Louise's dedication to her craft was evident in her choice of roles and her continued studies. She trained in method acting, worked with vocal coaches to perfect her diction, and studied classical theatre. All signs pointed to a career as a respected dramatic actress until a fateful audition in 1964 changed everything. Chapter 2. The role that defined and confined. When Sherwood Schwartz was casting Gilligan's Island, he envisioned Ginger Grant as a Marilyn Monroe-type character, all curves and breathy delivery. Louise initially resisted the role, fearing typecasting, but was persuaded by the promise of steady work and the chance to showcase her comedic talents. The show's immediate success in 1964 surprised everyone, including Louise. What was meant to be a simple sitcom job became a cultural phenomenon. Ginger Grant, with her fabulous gowns and movie star persona, quickly became a fan favorite. But behind the scenes, Louise grew increasingly frustrated. The limitations of the role became apparent early on. While other characters had running gags and development, Ginger remained largely one-dimensional. Louise fought for more substantial material, suggesting backstory elements and character depth, but in the three-camera sitcom format of the 1960s, such nuances were often sacrificed for laughs. Financial realities kept Louise on the show through its three-season run. At $1,500 per episode, equivalent to about $12,000 today, it was the most lucrative role of her career to that point. But even during production, she was already planning her post-Gilligan career, taking acting classes and meeting with dramatic coaches to prepare for the serious roles she hoped would follow. When the show was abruptly cancelled in 1967, Louise found herself in a predicament familiar to many TV stars, beloved by audiences but dismissed by casting directors. Despite her training and pre-Gilligan credits, Hollywood now saw her only as Ginger Grant. The typecasting was so severe that she would later recall being told point-blank in auditions, "We can't see you as anything but that TV character." Chapter 3. The Fight Against Typecasting. A Career in the Shadows. The decade following Gilligan's Island was particularly challenging for Louise. While she continued working, the roles were often variations on Ginger, or came with the explicit expectation that she would bring that Gilligan's Island charm. Her film work during this period tells the story of an actress struggling to break free. In The Wrecking Crew, 1969, she played a femme fatale opposite Dean Martin, but critics focused on her physical appearance rather than her performance. How to Commit Marriage, 1969, paired her with Bob Hope, but again played to her glamorous image rather than her acting range. Louise's most significant post-Gilligan role came in 1975's The Stepford Wives, where she played a television personality who becomes one of the robotic wives. The irony wasn't lost on her, playing a woman literally stripped of her personality in a film about societal expectations of women. Despite strong reviews, the role failed to reboot her career, as she'd hoped. Television offered more consistent work, but similar frustrations. Guest spots on popular shows like The Love Boat and Fantasy Island paid well, but typecast her as the beautiful, often ditzy guest star. Even when she landed dramatic roles on shows like Police Story or Knots Landing, audiences and critics still saw Ginger Grant trying to act serious. The 1980s brought new challenges as Louise aged in an industry notoriously unkind to women over 40. Roles became scarcer, and those offered often leaned into her Gilligan's Island fame. She made the difficult decision to turn down most offers that referenced or exploited that association, a stance that significantly limited her opportunities. Chapter 4. The Feud with Gilligan's Island, Rejecting the Legacy. Louise's complex relationship with her most famous role became increasingly apparent in the 1980s and 1990s. While her castmates embraced the show's nostalgia circuit, Louise remained conspicuously absent from most reunions and retrospectives. Her refusal to participate in the 1981 TV movie The Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island caused tension with producers and some cast members. In interviews, she explained, "I didn't want to spend my golden years repeating something I'd done in my 30s. I had grown, I had changed, and I wanted to be seen as I was now." This stance wasn't without consequences. Industry whispers painted her as difficult or ungrateful, making it even harder to secure roles. But Louise remained firm, telling one reporter, "It's not that I'm not grateful for the show's success. I just refuse to be defined by one chapter of my life." Her 1997 memoir, Sunday, revealed the depth of her frustration. In carefully worded passages, she described feeling trapped in amber by the role and expressed regret that her serious training and early dramatic work had been completely overshadowed by 3 years of sitcom fame. When the Smithsonian requested Ginger Grant's famous red dress for their pop culture collection, Louise initially refused, only relenting years later. Even then, she insisted the display mention her other work, a request that went largely unheeded. Chapter 5. Reinvention. Life beyond acting. As acting opportunities dwindled, Louise embarked on a remarkable second act that few of her fans knew about. In the late 1990s, she began volunteering with literacy programs in New York City schools, an experience that would change her life's direction. This work inspired her 2007 children's book, When I Grow Up, which encouraged children to dream big and persevere, lessons clearly drawn from her own experiences. The book led to speaking engagements at schools and libraries where Louise found unexpected fulfillment. "Working with children is immediate and real," she said in a rare interview. They don't see me as Ginger Grant. They see me as someone who cares about them. Her philanthropic work expanded to include animal rights activism and support for veterans organizations. Friends from this period describe a woman far removed from her glamorous image, happiest when working behind the scenes without fanfare or recognition. Louise also became an accomplished painter, though she rarely exhibited her work. Those who have seen her paintings describe them as introspective and surprisingly dark compared to her bubbly screen persona. Art became a private outlet for the emotions she'd long suppressed in her professional life. Chapter 6. The Last Survivor. A bittersweet legacy. With the passing of Dawn Wells, Mary Ann. In December 2020, Louise became the last living member of the original 7 castaways. This milestone brought renewed media attention and reflection on her unique place in television history. In her few public statements since becoming the last survivor, Louise has struck a more conciliatory tone about the show that defined her career. "Time gives you perspective," she told a reporter in 2021. "I understand now that Ginger brought joy to people, and that's not nothing. Yet the pain of what might have been still lingers." Friends say she keeps a file of her early theatre reviews and pre-Gilligan film notices, reminders of the dramatic career she'd envisioned. She also maintains connections with the acting community, occasionally mentoring young performers who face their own typecasting battles. Today, at 91, Louise lives quietly in New York, having outlived not just her castmates but most of her contemporaries. The entertainment industry has changed dramatically since her heyday, but the challenges of typecasting remain frustratingly familiar to actors today. Final thoughts: the price of fame in old Hollywood. Tina Louise's story transcends the specific case of Gilligan's Island to speak to larger truths about fame, artistry, and the entertainment industry's tendency to reduce complex individuals to their most marketable traits. Her experience foreshadowed challenges that would later face stars of shows like Friends or Seinfeld, proving that typecasting isn't just a relic of old Hollywood but an ongoing industry issue. What makes Louise's case unique is the duration, more than half a century, defined by a role she played for just 3 years. Modern audiences might wonder why she didn't simply embrace the Ginger Grant persona as her castmates did. But to understand Louise's resistance is to understand the artistic temperament, the drive to grow, to challenge oneself, to be recognized for one's full range and depth. In an era when classic TV shows are being rediscovered by new generations, Tina Louise's story serves as an important reminder. Behind every beloved character was a real person with dreams and ambitions that often extended far beyond the roles that made them famous. As we enjoy the nostalgic comfort of classic television, let's also remember the complex lives of the performers who brought these shows to life. For Tina Louise, being the last surviving castaway isn't just a trivia fact, it's the culmination of a lifetime spent navigating fame's treacherous waters, always searching for that elusive shore where she would finally be seen for who she truly was. Tina was the shining star of an era. Maybe she didn't have the career she dreamed of, but she became Ginger in the hearts of millions. So what do you think? Is being famous worth being trapped in a character forever? Let us know in the comments.